Today I want to talk to you about God, but you know how I'm going to get there? By sliding into the DM. Now, here's the thing. Have you ever had a meaningful conversation in the DM? Of course not. Meaningful conversations don't happen in the DM. That's where you slide in and spit game, right? About 6 months ago, I received a random direct message from somebody I didn't know. I opened it up and it was a picture of a plant, a coffee table, and a couch. I didn't quite know how to respond, so I just sent back. And her reply floored me. She just sent back, "Oh, don't mind me. I'm just moving into your DMs." And I was like, now she had game and I was not mad at her. And that's exactly what we expect from DM life, right? We don't expect anything meaningful. We don't expect anything worthwhile, but I gotta be honest with you guys. Somehow, I always have meaningful conversations in the DM. It kind of comes with the territory. As a coach and as a speaker, people are hitting me up consistently asking for some sort of guidance. I get all kinds of questions, everything from like, how do I stop worrying, to what's the first step to success? And I've even been asked, how do I find God? Yes, you heard that correctly. Every once in a while, I have spiritual conversations in the DM. Recently, I had a conversation where a young lady basically hit me up and she said, "Hey, I'm a writer and I would love for you to give me some feedback on my work." She sent me this beautiful poem and it was a poem about God. I asked her, "Well, what's your faith background?" And she actually said, I kind of don't have a faith background, but in the midst of this pandemic, I feel myself drawing closer to God. I feel God's presence stronger than ever. I mean, this is Instagram, right? This is not the place where these types of conversations are supposed to happen. And I didn't tell her this. Reading her message, it made me cry. I couldn't quite put together, how am I supposed to respond right now? Because I started to feel overwhelmed, but in a good way. This feeling of like the world could be crumbling down around us, and yet the supernatural presence of God is providing comfort to someone who says, "I've never really experienced this before." And one of the things that you guys know about me is I love to keep it real. And if I was going through a sense of dread right now, or anxiety or pain, I would share that with you. But me being real with you, I have felt an overwhelming sense of peace during this time. And that's because of my faith. I don't share this often in the world of YouTube because there's this part of me that doesn't want to come across as preachy. But when I was 20 years old, Jesus slid into my DMs for the first time, and it actually changed my life forever. You know, even as I share that, there's this part of me that wants to defend myself and say, "Don't worry, I'm not one of those types of Christians," and you guys know what I'm talking about. But when I became a follower of Jesus, see, I didn't go from a bad guy to a good guy. I went from a guy who had no direction and no purpose to a guy who now had clear direction and clear purpose. I went from a guy who didn't really know who he was to now this dude who was like pretty much understanding who I am. I went from a guy who was all about loving myself to a guy who now wanted to live in a way that loved others. I was given this peace that transcends circumstances, this peace that is present no matter what is happening around me. And all of that, each and every one of those aspects that I now have access to, is because of my faith in God. Now, I know that me sharing this means some of you may tune me out. I know that some of you will unsubscribe, and yet I know that some of you who are listening right now absolutely need this conversation. Because the temptation right now is to bow down to fear, anxiety, panic, and worry. Just a few days ago, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's in Tennessee, and she said that the suicide rates in her area are rising. I had a conversation a few days ago with a client, and she said that now she has to deal with the suicide of a parent. These days there is story after story of people buying into despair and hopelessness, and it is breaking my heart. And what will cure us in this season is peace, and I just wanted to be able to share my source of peace with you. Now, you don't have to believe what I believe, and you don't have to do what I do, but I encourage you to find a place of peace in this season. My prayer for us today is that we would find peace. Peace that remedies the darkness with light. Peace that heals every wound from your past. Peace that clears up this virus that we're afraid of. And as I think about this virus, I understand that it's invisible, but we can see its effects. As I talk about my faith, I know that it's invisible, but we can see its effects. And the cure to my pain, the cure to my fear, the cure to my anxiety has been the God that I follow. My invitation to you is, what is the source of your peace?